This is The Clash, where the real world clashes with a true Christian worldview. Join former professional wrestler Chris Whaley, known as the Masked Saint, who is an author, pastor, and teacher that brings his wrestling skills into the squared circle and tackles real-life issues. Along with Jeff Dixon, best-selling author, internationally known teacher, leader, and pastor who is not afraid to tackle the tough issues of the world we live in. Together they form a tag team of wisdom in The Clash.
Hi, welcome to The Clash, where we take a Christian worldview and allow it to clash into the culture around us. And when we're done, hopefully it's entertaining, enlightening, encouraging, and also it will jar you forward in your journey of faith. I'm Jeff Dixon. I'm joined by Chris Whaley, also known as the Saint. How you doing?
Man, I just love your introductions, man.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
Well, yeah, I practiced that.
Hey, I'm doing good.
Up all night.
I'm doing good. I'm excited about the show.
I am too, because we've done a lot of things. We have covered a lot of topics, and we love doing that. We love kind of digging in and having a little fun and poke fun at the church and Christian folks, and we do that with great respect. And then we've also talked to a lot of wrestlers, talked a lot about wrestling, but we also get a little political from time to time.
Every now and then.
And so if our audience is not ready for a political show, this would be the time to go back to an Andy Griffith rerun. Because we're going to talk politics for just a few minutes, or, well, as long as the show lasts.
Yeah.
And this episode, Chris, is called First 100 Days.
Trump's first 100 days.
Or, as our producer pointed out,
Yeah.
Biden's first 100 days of retirement.
Right.
Either one it is. But we're going to take a look at the first 100 days of the Trump administration, second go-round.
Right.
47.
Right.
And make some observations, share some thoughts, have a little fun with it.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a roller coaster ride, but before we do, we want you to buy some of our junk. So hold on, and we're going to take a quick break.
Yeah.
Chris, I was just thinking while we take a break here in the show,
Yeah.
wouldn't it be nice if you could go somewhere and shop and get high quality merchandise that would have a lasting impact? Wouldn't that be good?
I think that would be absolutely awesome.
Well, I've got a suggestion for you, because what is your favorite saying?
Don't tap out.
Look at that. How about a Don't
Holy
Tap Out
smokes,
t-shirt? And
Don't
look at the
Tap
logo
Out.
on the back.
What's on the back? The Clash.
The Clash. That's one of my favorite shows.
You know, it's on my top list, too.
And, people could go and buy this from our store. Now, you say, how do you get to the store? Well, right now, there's a QR code on the screen. If they use that QR code, they can go and they can buy, name something. We'll see if they can buy it there. What do you want? What to buy?
Probably, I want to get a long sleeve hoodie.
You know what? You can get a long sleeve hoodie there.
Really?
Yeah, and you know what else? If
What?
you had a baby tomorrow, you could get Clash baby gear at that
Onesies?
same store. Yep, you can get that. All of it's available at the Clash store. So if you haven't been to the Clash store, you're one of the few people in America that hasn't been there yet.
Yeah.
And so check it out. Buy our stuff. It makes us money. It makes us happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Go to the Clash store.
Hey, welcome back to the Clash. And, I hope you get one of those Clash shirts because they are awesome. I'm going to wear one day. But Jeff,
Yes.
talking about Trump's first 100 days.
No doubt.
Did you have any idea that he would have accomplished what he has in the first 100 days?
No, to be honest with you, I did not. I mean, the guy rolled into Washington like a tornado.
Oh, yeah.
And when he hit, he just cut out a swath that's just been huge.
Yeah.
In that first 100 days he's been there, and it's been fun to watch.
Yeah. And there's a lot of heads exploding.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's driving some people nuts.
Yeah. But it's been so much fun to watch.
Well, I think we pointed this out in the Trump episode way back when during the election cycle.
Yeah.
But if Trump is anything or knows anything, he's a smart guy. But he also is an entertainer.
Oh, yeah.
He is his own producer, and he knows exactly what he's doing, what he's saying, when to do it, and how to do it.
Right.
And I mean, in case in point, I mean, and one of the funniest examples, I mean, and it just makes me laugh every time, is that there was a particular 24-hour period where it seemed like the news cycle was running away from him, and he was getting some negative press, and he wanted to get it back. And so that's when he dropped the bomb for the first time that he was going to run for the third term.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's kind of like that becomes the lead on all of these media channels, all these media outlets, all these networks, and these guys are just babbling about it like it's going to happen and what it would take and how it's going to be it's going to treason. It destroys the Constitution, like they cared about the Constitution, and Trump just let it fall, and it doesn't go away. He'll bring it back up every once in a while, because he knows they're like bottom feeders, and they just can't resist him throwing chum over the side. And that's very much on purpose. That's part of the mystique that is the 47th president of the United States.
Oh boy, I was thinking about so many different things in his first 100 days, but we need to start with something. But let's start with the border. I mean, I loved his little, address to the nation. It wasn't the State of the Union, but it was like it,
Right.
And that line in there where it said, we needed legislation, and we found out that we didn't need a legislation. All we needed was a new president.
Yeah. And it took it, the stats on that, in his first full month of office, so this is not 100 days, this is 30 days, okay?
Yeah.
Officially, these are called Southwest Land Border Encounters. There's a category.
Yeah.
Okay. They averaged 418 a day in that first month. But the reason that's significant is because it was down from a peak of 9,741 a day in the previous administration.
During Joe.
Right. So within that first month, he had decreased it from over 9,000 to below 500 a day. Now, that was in the first 30 days.
Yeah.
And it's continued to just kind of drop off since then. So effectively, through some mandates and some executive orders, he closed the border.
Yeah. And, Jeff, the statistics are like 90% of Americans are for closing the border and getting rid of illegal immigrants. I mean, people that came into our country illegally. I know we're Christian. I know we want to be benevolent to people, but you got to do it the right way. But it's so amazing to me with 90% of Americans, they're agreeing with it, and then 90% of Americans agree with the fact that we don't want men in women's sports, but yet the Democrats are hitching their plow to that, and they're not getting it, Jeff.
No, they don't. And I think one of the things that you've seen over the first 100 days, a lot of what Trump is doing is not a surprise. It's what he ran on. It's what he campaigned on.
Right.
And so for a Trump voter or a Trump supporter that's out there, they're thrilled to death because he's delivering. But he's delivering at a staggering rate. I mean, it's like a comet that's just flashing across the sky. And I think the thing that makes it even more powerful is it stands in such a stark contrast to the previous holder of that office, who would close up shop at
4 o'clock,
4 o'clock in the afternoon, and after 2 naps and an ice cream break, and you've got Trump out at midnight greeting a hostage that came back. And by the way, he got 30 hostages released before he ever was put into office.
Yeah.
From the time that he had been elected until he was inaugurated, there was a hostage release that took place that he was involved in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
Right. And they I know they're already got the articles of impeachment against him and all, but the guy doesn't do anything in secret.
No.
I mean, every day he's on TV answering questions. Every day. Yeah. And then when he's on Air Force One, he goes to where the reporters are and answers questions while they're there. He lets people go into his staff meetings.
Yeah. I think it's the first time, I could be wrong about this, but I think it's the first time in history that they've actually live telecast staff cabinet meetings.
Right, cabinet meetings.
In the White House.
Unbelievable.
I don't think that's ever happened before.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, and intensely loyal. And he's put together, I think in his first 100 days too, the difference between Trump 45 and 47 is that this time he walked in the door after 4 years of being able to map out what he wanted to do and brought around him the personality and the people that he trusted to do it, as opposed to the previous time when he had to learn to be president and he was using a lot of insiders to accomplish what needed to be done in a way that he thought needed to happen. I think he decided, I'm not going to do that anymore. There's no re-election coming. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
Unless he runs for a third term.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you, I mean, out of the 100 days, what have you liked the most?
Well, I mean, I put together a list of 100 wins in 100 days.
Really?
Because I knew we were doing this show. And this doesn't even begin to, cover it. But I mean, let me just rattle off, let me give you 10.
Okay.
Not in any kind of order.
Give me 10.
He signed the Lake and Riley Act into law.
Oh, yeah.
He reduced the southern border encounters
Yeah.
to one of the lowest levels, if not the lowest level in American history, because we haven't always charted that.
Yeah.
He deported more at-large illegal aliens, those that were arrested in the interior USA, in February of 2025 than Biden did in all of 2024.
Oh,
So, in 1 month, he deported more illegals that had been captured inside the U.S. than Biden did his last year in office. He ended the catch and release program as you come across the border. He re-implemented the Remain in Mexico program. He moved to end birthright citizenship, which is wildly controversial, but it's only controversial because over the years we've lost the meaning of what that was, what that law that was in place. He turned the CBP app into the CBP Home app to let folks facilitate their own deportation.
Right.
So they could possibly come back. And so all of a sudden, an app they used to kind of hide and get assistance, he's reworked it now.
Right.
And so now you can volunteer to go back to the country you came from. He reopened Guantanamo Bay to put illegal aliens in for alien detentions. He designated English as the official language of the United States, which really could and should have been a no-brainer, and certainly not revolutionary, except for those that didn't like it. And he issued an executive order preserving federal benefits for American citizens only.
Right.
And so basically he said, if you're not a citizen, you're not entitled to the benefits an American citizen gets.
Yeah.
And a lot of that that's not, like I said, not a top 10, that's just 10 of the 100. Most people can read that and say, well, that's common sense. And it doesn't throw out compassion or caring, but it basically tightens up the rules and the guardrails that we need to be a functioning society.
Right.
And I mean, and that's just, and that's 10 of the things in the first 100 days. I mean, and that would have been huge.
A couple of things that he did right off the bat that I absolutely love is, renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Heads were exploding on that one.
Messed up all of my maps and globes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also taking back the Panama Canal. I mean, we didn't officially take it back, but we got it straightened up real quick.
Sure.
Because the Chinese were taking over.
Right.
And so, and they were charging us to go through the Panama Canal, and we're the ones that built it and sacrificed 38,000 lives doing that. Yeah. So those are a couple of things.
Well, I mean, I think one of the things that happened right up front when the Trump presidency started, when he walked into office, he walked in ready to roll, and for him, it wasn't about moving in as much as it was getting to work, and he did immediately day one, and I think one of the reasons that stands out so much is because it's in stark contrast to the previous administration.
Oh, yeah.
But by the same token, he came in and recognized through the number of votes, the electoral votes he caught, that there was a mandate, there was a desire for things to begin happening. And so they did, and the first 100 days was off and running.
Yeah.
We're going to come back. We're going to keep talking about this.
Good.
But before we do, let's take another break real quick, and then we'll join you on the other side. In the Bible, the church is called the body of Christ. Hopefully, you have a place that you call home when it comes to church. And hopefully you attend there, and hopefully you find a connection with other people. But also, we live in a world where we are connected digitally. And online, you're more than welcome to come visit the church at 434. That's where Chris Whaley and I are part of that staff. The website, touchandchange.net, touchandchange.net. Use the QR code to get there. You'll find all sorts of resources that will help you in your journey of faith. We look forward to seeing you at the church at 434. Hi, welcome back. We're talking about the first 100 days of Joe Biden's retirement, or Donald Trump's presidency.
100 days.
What else stands out in the first 100 days?
You know, Jeff, I am passionate about this. Man, there should be no men in women's sports. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not fair. You know, I don't know how you can not agree to the fact that men and women are built differently. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the way God made us. There's nothing wrong with that. But men should never be in women's sports. And I've seen the thing where, you know, the guy on the girls' volleyball team spiked the ball and hit the girl in the head, and just created all kinds of health issues for her. You know, I watched the Olympics, the boxer the male boxer against the female, and you know, she just quit because she said she'd never been hit like that. Yeah. And you know, how can Democrats hook their plow to that?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, because again, I mean, it kind of throws out that. I mean, it throws out Genesis,
right?
For one thing, but you know, you come back around too, and you come to the end of the day, and it's interesting because I think the Trump's instincts and his beliefs on this are correct from the standpoint of, because I agree with you. I mean, men should not be allowed to compete in women's sports.
Right.
It's not making a value judgment over how they choose to identify with gender. Mm-mm. It's not making a value judgment of where they are in a journey of transitioning. It's basically saying that just because you want to, you don't have the right to participate in a sport that is not the sport of the gender you were born into. Mm-hmm. And I think I think when you start peeling back the argument, my gosh, at the end of the day, you know, sports are not rights anyway. Mm-mm. I mean, I know a lot of people who have spent their entire life wishing they could play in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Well, the problem is they're 3'11" and they're not coordinated. They don't have the right to demand that they get a shot on the basketball court.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, sports has never been a right anyway. Mm-mm. And I think that by making and putting in place the executive orders that he did and forcing states to kind of step forward and either you know, uphold that ban or you know, go to court and contest it and risk federal money. Mm-hmm. I think he's calling them out, and I think he's forcing people to make statements that one day they're going to look back on and they're going to really, really regret. Because this is not. You
can't hide anything these days. No. Everything can be brought back to haunt you.
It's not the political hill to die on. Mm-mm. So he took a firm stance on that in the first 100 days.
Yep. Yeah. I love DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. Yeah. I absolutely loved it because, you know, Jeff, we've heard for years about, you know, spending thousands of dollars for a hammer and, you know, thousands of dollars for a toilet seat. Our government just wasting money. And, you know, Elon gets in there and gets his, you know, little cast of computer geeks with him, and they just start finding stuff. Now, what's amazing to me is the unbelievable waste and fraud that we've had in our government, but the unbelievable reaction by the Democrats over the waste and fraud and being against Elon finding it. Yeah. I mean, does it just drive you nuts?
It does, but it also is incredibly revealing. because politicians on both sides of the aisle have been guilty of allowing and running their pet projects and being very extravagant with money that's not theirs.
Right.
And so DOGE has actually been exposing that, and that is a lot of this is covering everyone's backside, right? That's why they're getting so upset to start with, and then again it leads them to a point to start making bold declarations about things that are just not defendable, that common sense just doesn't hold up with. And so, yeah, I'm like you. I kind of like it. Now, I mean, the only regret I would have in the first 100 days is, they made a pretty bold declaration of how much they were going to find. They haven't hit that amount yet. But regardless, what they're saving or what they have found is wildly significant. And for an economy and a national debt that needs to be brought under control,
Right.
I mean, again, common sense would say, this is a good thing. This is a good exercise. And even if you put it under the microscope and you find out, well, we do need this.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Cutting out all those government jobs, I don't think people realize that you had, thousands and thousands and thousands of government employees who were not going to work every day. I mean, they were working from home.
Yeah.
And most of them weren't working from home, and they're getting a paycheck from our tax money. And how the Democrats got so upset with making people go back to work.
Sure. And the tragedy of that is there are some folks who have lost jobs. I know some of them who've lost jobs because of the mandate that you're going to have to go to work, you can't work from home anymore, and things like that. And these jobs were picked up in a previous administration post-pandemic, where they were brought in and hired with these kind of expectations. But interestingly enough, it was never communicated clearly that this is only going to be short-term because this can't be sustainable. And I think reversing these policies is good. I think it is healthy. I think it's the way that the government needs to operate. But by the same token, it should be a powerful lesson about the fact that, government just can't spend money that way. And just because it spends it doesn't mean it lasts forever this way.
Right.
And, we're all living the ripple effect of that. Trump has exposed a lot of that through this DOGE process. Because again, once something's in place, once you have that grant money in place, then all of a sudden you think you're good. I know of a ministry that is going to close its doors because 75% of its funding came from the government. Now, and I'm sad that the ministry is going to close its doors, but at the end of the day, any ministry that's running and 75% of their income is coming from the government, it's not a ministry. It's a government program.
Right.
And you can't call yourself a ministry if you're going to be doing that.
No.
And so, again, while I feel the pain of the people who lead it, and they're really nice people, what they basically have admitted is they didn't know what they were doing. They couldn't administrate it.
Right.
And because they don't have the giving base to sustain it. So, good news, bad news is in the first 100 days, Trump has taken and turned on a spotlight on a lot of stuff like that was always kind of lurking in the darkness, and a lot of the politicians in Washington just liked it in the darkness. They like keeping things hidden because, when you got something to hide, you hide in the darkness, right?
Yeah, and we've also found out how so many of them have become super wealthy being in office.
Oh gosh, yes.
With that what were USAID? Yeah, that was like a funnel to their pocketbooks.
Yeah.
So much going on like that. What about tariffs? Are you?
Tariffs? Tariffs are interesting. I think I understand. Let me put it this way. I think I understand what the tariff situation is, and I know why it's being done because America was getting the short end of the stick on a lot of things.
Right.
I think where the Trump administration has blown it in the first 100 days is their messaging has been horrible.
Yeah.
They cannot tell the message and explain to people why they're raising tariffs in such a way and what reciprocal tariffs are. They've just done a horrendous job. They need to hire somebody that can basically explain tariff for dummies. And basically, 3 points in a poem and explain what it is and get done with it. And then how long they anticipate the pain lasting. Because at the end of the day, even as we're getting ready to record this, Walmart, local company, right? Pride themselves on getting 75% of the things that they sell are made in America. Yet their big CEO gets up there and says, we're going to have to raise prices because of tariffs. And I'm thinking to myself, well, dude, if 75% of the stuff you're making comes in America, these tariffs shouldn't be hurting you no matter what they are. So this is about greed, and this is about a grab and forgetting who your audience and who your consumer is. And see, that's what happens with it. It's become a political kind of a time bomb where, again, good messaging, I think, could have ended that, because I think the tariffs are going to help bring some things and right the course. Now, post-Trump, will the next leader in place have the common sense not to get us back in that same hole? Don't know.
Well, we're, 37, $38 trillion in debt?
Yeah, I don't have that to loan the government.
Yeah. And somebody had to make the decision. We've got to do something.
Sure.
Because this is not sustainable. So I applaud him on that. And for the life of me, I can't even fathom how we're going to pay off $38 trillion worth of debt. But something had to be done, and at least he's trying to do something. And, I've heard him explain it, and I agree that, hey, everybody's been taking advantage of the United States for years and years and years. And we've been giving money away to other countries like drunken sailors. So somebody had to do something different. I think he's doing it, and I applaud him for doing it.
And I just think he needs to get better at telling messaging it. And maybe I'm going to get out of the way and let him do the messaging on it.
Yeah.
Quit trying to help him.
Right.
Let him be the one to explain it, share it. He'll be off the cuff with it. And give him long enough, he'll get there. Yep. And I think that would go a long way towards making things a little bit better.
Yep.
So we're going to wrap this thing up in a minute. But so, are you a fan of the first 100 days? Do you like the way the first 100 days have gone?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, our fan base out there with the Clash, I don't know if this is going to make it go lower or whatever, but no, I'm a big fan of what he is doing and trying to just bringing common sense back to our country, which has been needed for a long time.
Yeah. I like the first 100 days too, if nothing else, for the sheer entertainment factor of watching the news.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to watch the news.
I can't wait to hear what's going to happen next. And speaking of what happens next, we're going to take one more break and come back and wrap this thing up. And so don't go anywhere. Hey there, stop whatever you're doing right now. Get your phone out and go ahead and aim it right here at the screen at the QR code right in front of you. Because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, I'm having such a great time watching The Clash, but there's been some episodes that I've missed. Well, if you take a picture of that QR code and follow it to the website, you're going to discover all of the episodes of The Clash that you might have missed on a channel called The Church at 434 in Motion. 434 in Motion has that and a lot of other resources, and we would love for you to catch back up on what you've missed. Every day there's brand new programming that comes out, and we want you to be a part of it. Now, hey, relax, it doesn't cost you a dime. It costs you a little bit of time, but it's well worth it because it's time well spent. Actually, it's almost like you're making money at it. So use the QR code, come find us, see the episodes of The Clash that you missed, and let's get back to the show. Well, we've just scratched the surface of this topic, obviously. Maybe we'll come back and do it again another time. But for now, we've got to be done.
Yep. Maybe we'll do 125 days or 150 days.
Never can tell.
But whatever you do, don't tap out.